Alex had always dreamed of exploring uncharted worlds, but nothing could have prepared him for what awaited him on the distant planet of Zyrex. The journey had been long, a voyage through deep space that felt like an eternity. Yet, the moment his ship touched down on Zyrex, something in the air felt different, almost alive. As the hatch of the spacecraft opened, a cool metallic breeze swept in, carrying a scent Alex had never encountered before. The atmosphere was thick with mystery. The sky above was painted in shades of purple and blue, with two moons hanging low, casting an eerie glow across the rocky terrain. Tall, jagged mountains loomed in the distance, their peaks veiled by a shimmering mist. The land beneath him seemed alien. Forests of glowing plants stretched out before him, their colors shifting as if they had a life of their own. Alex could hardly contain his excitement. He had been selected for this mission because of his knowledge of alien cultures and his ability to adapt. But as he stepped out onto the surface of Zyrex, a sense of unease began to creep into his mind. The silence was deafening, broken only by the sound of his boots crunching on the strange violet grass. He took a deep breath, trying to shake off the uneasiness, and continued to walk forward, following a winding path that seemed to lead toward a distant city-like structure. The path gradually opened up into a wide clearing, and there, standing at the edge of the glowing forest, was a figure. It was a woman, tall and regal, her long silver hair flowing like a river of light in the wind. Her skin was a soft shade of blue, and her eyes, though alien, radiated with an emotion Alex couldn't place. She stood motionless, her arms by her sides, gazing into the distance. Her presence was mesmerizing, commanding his attention in a way no human could. Without thinking, Alex approached her, drawn by a force he didn't understand. As he got closer, his curiosity grew stronger. Who was she? What was she doing on this strange, desolate planet? And why had she not noticed him yet? It felt as though she was waiting for something. But what could it be? When he was only a few steps away, the woman suddenly turned her head to face him. Her eyes locked onto his with a quiet intensity that sent a shiver down his spine. For a moment, there was only silence. The world around him seemed to hold its breath. The air felt thicker now, like a storm was brewing just out of sight. Alex could feel his heart racing in his chest as the woman's gaze intensified. "You are the one," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Alex blinked in confusion. "What do you mean?" She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she took a step forward, her movement smooth and fluid, as if she were gliding over the ground. Her gaze never left him, and her expression softened slightly. "I have waited for you," she continued, her voice barely audible yet carrying a strange weight. "You are the one who will change everything." Alex's mind raced. Change everything? Who was she? What did she mean by that? Before he could say anything more, the woman slowly raised her hand. Alex instinctively took a step back, confused by the sudden movement. But what happened next took him by complete surprise. The woman dropped to her knees. In the blink of an eye, she knelt before him, her head bowed in reverence. Alex stood frozen, his mouth dry, unable to comprehend what was happening. The wind seemed to die down, the sound of the plants around him fading into nothing. The woman, an alien princess no doubt, was kneeling in front of him, the revered one of her people, and he was a stranger in a strange land. The moment stretched on, feeling like an eternity. Alex's breath caught in his throat. He wanted to speak, but words failed him. What did this gesture mean? He had heard of alien cultures that revered humans as sacred, but this was something entirely different. Was it respect? Was it a sign of submission? "Why are you kneeling?" Alex asked, his voice shaking slightly as he tried to make sense of the situation. The woman's eyes met his once more, and for a brief moment, he saw a flicker of vulnerability in them. "You are the key," she whispered. "Only you can help us." Before Alex could ask any more questions, he heard a sound in the distance, a low hum, growing louder. It wasn't the wind. It wasn't natural. The air vibrated with energy, and the woman's expression darkened. "They are coming," she said urgently, rising to her feet. her movements swift and deliberate. "We must leave now." Alex barely had time to process her words when the ground beneath them began to shake. In the distance, a large, dark silhouette appeared on the horizon, moving swiftly toward them. It was massive, something unnatural, and Alex realized it was headed straight for them. The woman grabbed his arm, pulling him back toward the path. "We don't have much time," she said, urgency in her voice. "We need to go. There's no time to explain." As they ran, Alex's mind raced. Who were these people? Why was she kneeling before him? And most importantly, what was coming for them? He didn't have the answers, but he knew one thing for sure. This was only the beginning. The mystery of why an alien princess had kneeled for him was about to unfold in ways he couldn't imagine, and it was going to change everything. Alex's mind raced as he followed the mysterious alien princess through the narrow, winding path. She moved with a grace that seemed almost unnatural, her silvery hair trailing behind her like a veil of light. The ground beneath them trembled slightly with each passing step, and the air had a strange, almost electric quality to it. The urgency in her voice echoed in his ears, but there were still too many questions swirling in his mind. Why had she knelt before him? Who was she? And most importantly, why was she so certain that he was the key to something greater? They arrived at a large stone structure, unlike anything Alex had ever seen. It stood tall against the sky, its walls etched with ancient symbols that seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. The princess led him inside, and the heavy stone door groaned as it opened, revealing a grand chamber. Inside, the walls were adorned with alien hieroglyphs, strange sculptures, and intricate tapestries depicting scenes of battles and ceremonies. It looked like a place of great importance, an ancient temple perhaps. The princess turned to face him, her expression serious now, but there was a faint trace of fear in her eyes. "You must understand, human," she began, her voice low and steady. "Our world has been cursed for centuries. We live in eternal darkness, trapped by an ancient force we do not fully understand. The elders of my people believe that only one who is not of our kind can break this curse." Alex stared at her, trying to grasp the weight of her words. "A curse? What kind of curse?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The princess hesitated, her eyes shifting to the symbols on the walls. "It is not just a curse of darkness, it is a curse of despair, of hopelessness. We, the Zyrexians, have been searching for the chosen one for generations. The prophecy says that a human, a creature not bound by the laws of our world, will come to us. This human will have the power to break the cycle, to lift the veil of darkness that has enveloped our land." Alex felt a chill crawl up his spine. He couldn't understand it. He was just an explorer, a man of science, not some mythical hero meant to save an entire civilization. The idea that he, a mere human, could have such a power seemed absurd. "You're saying I'm the one the prophecy spoke of?" Alex asked, his voice filled with disbelief. The princess nodded solemnly. "Yes, it is you. I've waited for you. My people believe that humans are sacred beings, the key to unlocking our future. That's why I knelt before you. It was a sign that I recognized you. I knew the moment I saw you, you were the one." Alex took a step back, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what she was saying. His head spun with questions, but one thing stood out above all. "If I'm supposed to be the one to break your curse, why have I never heard of this prophecy before? Why would humans be seen as sacred to your people?" The princess sighed deeply, her gaze softening as she walked over to one of the murals. She ran her fingers gently over the image of an ancient warrior standing tall before a vast, stormy sky. "Long ago, before the darkness fell upon Zyrex, humans were revered as divine beings. Your ancestors visited us, bringing knowledge and wisdom. They taught us how to harness the power of the stars, how to create life from the elements. But something went wrong. The knowledge became twisted, the balance was disrupted. Our ancestors grew too ambitious, and in their greed, they unknowingly triggered the curse that bound us to eternal night." She paused, turning to face him. "The elders believe that the only way to break the curse is for a human, someone pure of heart, to take the place of the last great warrior, someone who can harness the power of both the stars and the earth. Only then can the curse be lifted and the sun return to our world. Alex felt a heavy weight settle in his chest as the gravity of her words sank in. This wasn't just a strange encounter. This wasn't some minor galactic misunderstanding. If what she said was true, he had just stumbled into something far bigger than himself, something he could never have imagined. "But why me?" he asked, his voice filled with confusion. "Why do you think I can do what others couldn't?" The princess looked at him with a mix of admiration and sorrow. "I don't know. But there is something about you. Something different. When I saw you, I felt a strange pull, a connection. It was as though fate itself had brought you here. You may not understand it yet, but you will." She turned to one of the ancient scrolls resting on a pedestal, unrolling it to reveal intricate symbols and drawings. "This is the prophecy," she said. "It speaks of the chosen one, a human who will rise when the stars align. You see, our people have believed in this moment for centuries. We've been waiting, hoping that one day someone would come to guide us out of the darkness." Alex felt a mixture of disbelief and awe. Could he really be the one destined to save an entire civilization? He had no special powers, no magical abilities. He was just a man, an explorer with a thirst for adventure. But then the realization hit him like a thunderclap. The darkness outside, the strange pull he felt when he first set foot on the planet, was all of this leading up to this moment? Was it possible that against all odds he was meant to play a role in a prophecy that had been foretold long before his birth? Before he could speak again, a loud noise echoed from outside the chamber. The air grew thick with tension, and the princess stiffened, her eyes flashing with alarm. "They are coming," she whispered, her voice filled with dread. "The council will not let this prophecy go unchallenged. We must act quickly." Alex turned to the door, the sense of foreboding growing stronger. The adventure had only just begun, but already he could feel the weight of his destiny pressing down on him. This was no longer just a mission. This was his calling, and with it came a choice: to embrace the prophecy and the power that came with, or to walk away and leave a world in darkness. The decision was his, but time was running out. The tension in the palace was palpable. As Alex stood beside Princess Vela, his mind raced. The decision he had to make was growing more complicated by the second. It was no longer just about exploring a distant alien world. Now, it was about the fate of an entire civilization. A weight he had never imagined he would bear pressed heavily on his shoulders. The princess's words echoed in his mind. "You are the one who can break the curse." But the situation was far more complex than he had initially realized. Vela had led him to this point, showing him the prophecy, explaining the ancient beliefs of her people, and yet something about it felt off. Despite her genuine belief in the prophecy, there were cracks in the story that Alex couldn't ignore. The Zyrexian people saw him as a savior, but who were they really asking to lead them? What did they want from him? And more importantly, what would they expect from him once he was in a position of power? As the night grew darker, the sounds of whispers echoed through the hallways. The Alien Council, the ruling body of Zyrex, was coming together to discuss Alex's fate. Vela led him to the throne room, where the most powerful figures of the planet awaited. Each one had a different air about them. Some respectful, some apprehensive, and others, Alex could feel, with agendas of their own. The throne room was grand, the walls lined with ancient relics, symbols of Zyrexian power. At the far end of the room on a raised dais sat the Council of Elders. Their eyes were fixed on Alex, scrutinizing him as though they were trying to see into his very soul. Vela stepped forward, her voice firm. "This is the chosen one, Alex. He is here to help us. He will be the one to break the curse." The council members exchanged uncertain glances, and then the eldest of them, a wizened figure named Jarek, spoke. "We are aware of the prophecy, Princess. But do you truly believe that this human, untested and unknown, is the one who can save us? Have you considered the consequences of placing your trust in him?" Vela's face hardened. I have no doubt. He is the one the prophecy spoke of. But Jarek wasn't convinced. His piercing gaze locked onto Alex. We have waited for centuries, Princess. We cannot afford to place our hopes in someone whose motives we do not understand. He may not be what you think. Alex felt the weight of the scrutiny. It wasn't just about him anymore. It was about power, trust, and control. The Zyrexian people had believed in the prophecy for generations, but now that the moment had arrived, the elders were hesitant to give up their control. They had ruled over this planet for eons, and they weren't ready to hand over that power to an outsider, especially one from a species they revered. Alex stood tall, trying to appear confident despite the rising tide of tension. He had come here with no expectations, but now it seemed that everything was at stake. His role wasn't just to break a curse. It was to navigate the politics of an alien world and determine how much control he was willing to give up. You doubt my ability, Alex said, his voice steady but carrying an edge of defiance. But I came here with no agenda, no hidden motives. I came to help you. You asked for a human to break your curse, and I'm here. You have to decide what happens next. The room fell silent, the weight of his words hanging in the air. The council members exchanged uneasy looks, unsure of how to respond. Vela's gaze softened as she turned toward Alex, her expression conflicted. She wanted to believe in him, but she was also caught between her loyalty to her people and her growing feelings for him. She knew that if Alex succeeded, he would take power, and with power came responsibility, and perhaps betrayal. One of the younger council members, a fierce woman named Rayla, stepped forward, her eyes flashing with intensity. I say we test him. Let him prove that he is capable of handling the power we are about to give him. We cannot risk our future on faith alone. Vela's eyes narrowed at Rayla's words, but she said nothing. The tension between the two women was evident, and Alex couldn't help but feel the weight of their rivalry. This wasn't just about him being a hero, it was about who would control the fate of Zyrex. Jarek, sensing the growing discord, raised his hand to silence the room. Perhaps we should consider another path. If this human truly is the one the prophecy speaks of, then he must be willing to face the trials that we, the elders, have set forth. Only then can we determine if he is worthy of our trust and our power. Alex felt his stomach tighten. He had no idea what the trials would be, but it was clear that they weren't just about proving his strength. This was about testing his character, his resolve, and his ability to lead. The Zyrexians weren't going to just hand over control, they wanted to see if he was worthy. If you are to lead us, Jarek continued, you must prove that you understand our ways, that you are capable of making the decisions that will shape our future. Only then can you break the curse. Only then can you truly be the one. Alex took a deep breath, understanding the gravity of the situation. The Zyrexians were giving him a chance, but that chance came with strings attached. He would have to navigate their politics, their traditions, and their doubts. The council had power, but it was clear that they weren't ready to relinquish it easily. They were testing him, not just his ability to save their world, but his ability to lead it. I understand, Alex said, his voice unwavering. I'll face your trials, but know this. I didn't come here for power. I came here to help. Rayla's eyes narrowed, but Jarek gave a slow nod, signaling that the trials would begin. As the council members dispersed, Vela turned to Alex, her face filled with a mixture of admiration and concern. Are you sure you're ready for this? She asked quietly. Alex met her gaze, determination in his eyes. I'm ready. But I'm not just doing this for you or for your people. I'm doing this for everyone. The room grew colder as the shadows deepened and Alex felt the weight of his next steps. The trials were only the beginning, but the real battle was just starting. The struggle for control had only just begun. And Alex knew that no matter what happened, the world of Zyrex would never be the same again. The trials had been long, grueling, and filled with moments of self-doubt. Alex had faced tests that challenged not only his physical strength, but also his moral compass. The Zyrexian Council, despite their initial reluctance, had pushed him through challenges that no human should have endured. Each trial was more intense than the last, designed not only to test his ability to lead, but to see if he truly understood the core values of this alien world. In the last trial, Alex had been forced to make a decision that would change the course of Zyrex forever. He had been brought to the heart of the alien jungle, where a sacred tree stood. The tree, old as time itself, was said to hold the power to end the curse that had plagued the planet for centuries. But there was a catch. To activate the tree's power, Alex had to offer something truly meaningful: his humanity. The Zyrexians believed that to truly break the curse, a sacrifice had to be made. The human part of Alex, his emotions, his spirit, had to be sacrificed in order to bring the balance back to their world. It was a heartbreaking decision. To sacrifice his humanity would mean he would no longer be the person he was. The bonds he had formed with Vela, the trust they had built, all of it would be lost. He would be nothing more than a vessel for the curse to be lifted, a hero, but one who had lost everything that made him human. But the alternative was worse. Zyrex would remain in darkness forever, and the world Alex had come to care for would be lost. As Alex stood in front of the sacred tree, Vela approached him, her eyes filled with sadness and determination. "Alex, you do not have to do this," she said softly, her voice trembling. "I know you are the one, but I can't ask you to lose yourself." Alex's heart ached at the thought of leaving her, leaving everything behind. He had come to love her not just for her beauty, but for the strength, compassion, and wisdom she had shown him. But this was bigger than them. This was for her people, for the future of Zyrex, and for the galaxy. He had to make the ultimate choice. "I know, Vela," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "But this is what I was meant to do. It's the only way. The Zyrexians need hope, and if I can give them that, then it will be worth it. We'll find a way to make things right." Vela's eyes welled with tears, but she nodded, her heart breaking. "Then I will stand by you, no matter what." The council members had gathered around, watching in silence as Alex prepared to make his sacrifice. Jarek, the elder leader, stepped forward, his face stoic but with a hint of pride in his eyes. "You have proven yourself human. You are indeed the one spoken of in the prophecy. But remember this, once you make this decision, there is no turning back. The balance will be restored, but you will not be the same." Alex took a deep breath and turned to face the sacred tree. He could feel the power emanating from it, a force so ancient that it made his skin tingle. The air around him shimmered with energy as he stepped closer, his hand hovering over the tree's bark. He had to let go. He had to give up what he was, to save this world. Without another word, Alex placed his hand on the tree. The moment his skin touched the surface, a wave of energy surged through him. It was unlike anything he had ever experienced, a flood of emotions, memories, and visions of the Zyrexians' history. The darkness that had plagued their world was deep-seated, a product of generations of greed, fear, and conflict. The tree absorbed his essence, the power of his humanity, and in return it began to glow with a brilliant light. Alex felt his body grow heavy, his mind clouded. The sacrifice was taking its toll. He could feel himself slipping away, his sense of self dissolving. But in that moment, as the world around him blurred, he saw something in the distance, a bright light breaking through the darkness. The curse was lifting. The world of Zyrex began to change. The sky, once perpetually clouded, began to clear. The golden light of a new dawn broke through the atmosphere, casting a warm glow over the planet. The darkness that had consumed the land for centuries was finally lifting, and the Zyrexians began to stir, their eyes wide in wonder as they saw the light for the first time in ages. Alex's body trembled as the process continued. He could feel the essence of who he was slipping away, his memories fading like mist. But he knew it was worth it. The Zyrexians were free, their world reborn. Vela stood beside him, her face a mixture of hope and sorrow. She reached out to touch his arm, her fingers brushing against his skin. In that brief moment, Alex felt a spark, a flicker of his humanity that still remained. His heart swelled with emotion, but it was faint, like a distant echo. "You did it," Vela whispered, tears streaming down her face. "You saved us." Alex tried to smile, but it was hard. His body felt numb, his mind hazy. He had given everything, but at what cost? He wasn't sure if he could still feel the warmth of her touch, the emotions they had shared. He had become a part of the planet's salvation, but at the expense of his own identity. As the light of the new dawn spread across the land, Alex stood silently, knowing that his sacrifice had not been in vain. The Zyrexians would rebuild, and the curse that had bound them for so long was finally broken. But as he looked into Vela's eyes one last time, he realized that his journey wasn't just about saving her people. It was about understanding the true cost of heroism. Sometimes to save the world you had to give up everything that made you human. But perhaps, just perhaps, the greatest redemption was in knowing that his actions had sparked a new beginning. For Zyrex, for Vela, and for the universe, Alex had done the impossible. And in the end, that was all that mattered.